Hello everyone, my name is Jasmine McCoy and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, thank you for clicking in to drop by, but if you're a returner, it is always nice to have you back. This video, I am talking about the amazing time that I had at ARVO 2023. ARVO stands for the Association of Research in Vision and Ophthalmology. Yes, I am a nerd, but that's not the reason why this is really cool. It's not just me going and being excited about ophthalmology things. It was heavily impacted by the fact that the convention was held in New Orleans, Louisiana. So, yes, ARVO is primarily a very nerdy convention for a bunch of ophthalmologists to just come and talk about the research that they have done on the eye. So you have glaucoma people there, cataracts people there, retina people there, all mixing and mingling, just talking about the eyes and how much they love their jobs and what research they've been doing. And that research could be on a medication, on a tool, on a new procedure for performing some kind of surgery. That is what we are talking about. That is what ARVO is for. And who goes there? Obviously, ophthalmologists, so MDs, PhDs, but it also includes people that aren't those kinds of doctors. It's going to include medical students. It's going to include soon-to-be medical students. It's also going to include people representing different companies. Companies that produce medications, companies that produce machines, companies that produce the surgical tools that they use. All of them are coming together to create ARVO. And like I said, yes, it was held in New Orleans, Louisiana. This is not the first time that I've gone to ARVO. I did go to ARVO last year in 2022 when it was held in Denver, Colorado. So I had a great time then, but I had a much better time at New Orleans, Louisiana. So I'm going to be talking about the amazing time that I had, yes, at the convention, but also exploring the city that it was hosted in, because I was chill. I already knew I had where I was going to medical school. I wasn't under any time constraints, and I just got to really enjoy myself. So I got in, and that was very simple. Flight from Cleveland to New Orleans, and then I took my Uber to my Airbnb. Yes, I got an Airbnb, resourceful, and that was mostly because I was looking at those hotel prices for the host hotels, and I was like, that's some doctor money I do not yet have. I arrived at my Airbnb, I got everything laid out, and it was very good. Nice, safe area, and easy to get into. And I ended up getting a call from my mentor. So I work at the Retina Associates of Cleveland. That is how I got my introduction to ophthalmology in the first place. I never really thought about the eyes as a organ system needing specialized care. And that's a little odd when you consider how much I love movies and TV shows to just not think about taking care of people's eyes. But now it's all that I can think about. So my mentor, Dr. Coney, called me. He's like, hey, Jasmine, do you want to come over to this little meet and greet that we're having? I say yes, of course, because I know it's going to be something with the top players. Now, obviously, I go in there. I don't know anyone except for my mentor, Dr. Coney, Dr. Miller. Dr. Miller is the president of the Retina Associates of Cleveland. And then there's also another technician like myself, but I didn't know her because she works at another office. So we kind of stuck together. I can't quite remember if the meet and greet was hosted by Regeneron or Genentech, or maybe it was both of them, or maybe BioNTech. But it was one of those companies that was hosting this meet and greet, and they had food, there was chitting and chatting. Once that ended, I went back to the Airbnb that I had, and I just started going over my poster. Jasmine, what were you doing there? as someone who is interested in ophthalmology, who is going off to medical school, who wants to become a retina surgeon one day, it's good to have some research under my belt. So I have done research and I get to present that research. Much earlier in the year, I submitted an abstract with my information, and the powers that be, some sort of committee, had to decide whether they wanted to approve that abstract. They did, so that abstract got turned into a poster. That poster was presented at ARVO, and that is one of the big things for people who are younger, the young medical students, soon-to-be medical students, the residents, the fellows. They do a lot, make up a large portion of that poster hall, because that's what we do. That is our thing. It's going to be the doctors and the PhDs who are hosting and serving as the keynote speakers for the lectures. So I went over my research, just made sure that I had everything ready, and whoo, it was a lot, because you get there, you're trying to make sure that your box with your poster is all nice, that everything is okay with it. I had to make sure that it wasn't dented, and everything was fine, obviously, but you want everything to go well. So that was the end of my night, and we got ready for day number 2. Day number 2, I gave myself a slow start. I went to Cafe Beignet for my breakfast, and one of the things that I have routinely said that I was interested in doing, that I had to make sure was done, was that I get some beignets. So it's breakfast, I go to Cafe Beignet, I get myself a Belgian waffle as well as some beignets, and I love the South. I need to say that explicitly. I love the South for many reasons. I was born there, Little Rock, Arkansas, so I am a Southern girl. It is also the place that I did most of my growing up, most of my education, when my family lived in Louisville, Kentucky. And the South, the food is not good for you, but that's okay because it tastes good. And the fact that the portions are great. And on top of that, the fact that when you have some sort of garnish or sauce, they're very heavy-handed. And you, just think about if you're getting something with some sauces, honey mustard or whatever it might be, you might want to go back and ask for another 1 or 2. They're gonna give you 5 of them because they're just take them. They know that's how much you need. When I was looking at my beignets, they were swimming in powdered sugar. It wasn't a little dusting. It was just powdered sugar everywhere. So I had it all over me, but that's okay because it was great. Here's a little bit of video from my little excursion going to Cafe Beignet. Once I finished up at Cafe Beignet, it was time for me to go back to my Airbnb, get all dressed up, get my poster board, and head over to the convention center. At the convention center, I walk in, I show my my little confirmation email that has my QR code, I scan it, they print out my lanyard, and then I get my swag bag. This is the swag bag. We'll get to these later. But as you can see, it says ARVO 2023. It was sponsored by iCrow, and inside we have a bunch of stuff. A bunch of stuff. So the most important thing was my lanyard. As you can see, Jasmine McCoy, and I have a she, her, hers ribbon because I am a woman in STEM. Up next, we also had a bunch of promotional material that means absolutely nothing to me since I have no buying power where I work. Like, you can hand me stuff, but I can't do anything about it. I can't make the retina associates buy anything. We also had our pocket guidebook. Now, there are a couple of things I do know within the ophthalmology realm. I know retina stuff. Ophthalmology is more than just the retina. It's glaucoma, cataracts, cornea specialists. All of them come to ARVO. And because of that, I see all their information as well. I don't understand it. I don't. I know retina stuff. On the back of the pocket guide is an advertisement for Vabysmo. Vabysmo is one of the injections that we give our patients. Very cool. And that's really all the things of interest in here. But you get inside to the convention hall and you see that there is just booths upon booths upon booths. It's kind of like going to Comic-Con, except that it's extremely, extremely nerdy. And instead of having Marvel, DC, they have Sice, Heidelberg, Genentech, all of these different people who do surgical tools, machinery, imaging, medications, and they're trying to get you to either buy their thing or sponsor or use whatever. So I spent an hour walking around there looking at that. It was very fun. I had a good time. I spent time doing that for about an hour, and then it was time for me to get going to the poster area. The poster area is for the younger people. It's for the medical students, soon to be medical students, the residents, the fellows. That's what we do. And you're not able to film that because it's burgeoning research. You don't want there to be any stealing of intellectual property. So in the videos you're about to see, I'm filming like from a great, great distance. That way you can't see anything. But here's a little bit of video from the convention center.
No. There's no plastic this year. Yeah, when you go, you're very welcome. Look up and see ARVO Central.
Do you need a bag or you're good? Okay.
Thank you so much.
During my presentation time, I stood there for 3 hours. There were times where there were lots of people standing around me. There were times where there weren't a lot of people standing around me. And that's okay. That's what happens, especially when there's 200 people doing their presentation at the same time. So I stood, I waited, I answered questions, including questions from someone who was from Spain. She asked me some questions in Spanish. I was not able to answer them completely in Spanish, but I was able to answer them partially in Spanish, only because I do not know medical related research Spanish words. Like, that is not the kind of stuff that they teach you when you're doing your Spanish classes. So, but she was still very, very kind, very surprised, and very supportive of me speaking her language. And I also got visited by Dr. Coney, by Dr. Miller, and just had a good time. I also took pictures, and pictures of my own stuff, because remember, not taking pictures of other people's stuff unless you ask them. And sometimes I did have people asking if they could take pictures of my poster. Very good. So here is a little bit of video of me talking about my poster.
Why don't we look into what were the experiences and the outcomes of these 4.6%? So we went in and we took note of all of the IOIs that they experienced, most of them being uveitis, which is a very simple fix. You give them topical anti-inflammatory steroid drops and we also wanted to see, well, when the patient is having this IOI, how is that affecting their vision? Because for most of them, what it is that we're seeing is that at the time of the IOI, they lost about 6.8 letters. That was when the patient said, oh, something's not looking right, this is my...
Once I finished up there, I went home, I changed, I met up with Dr. Coney's wife, Tammy, who also happens to be a sorority sister, and we just had an awesome night going to Bourbon Street. So, those beads that you saw, we both got some beads from Bourbon Street. Typically, if you're going to Bourbon Street, you have to show some skin. I don't do that. I don't do that. So I got these beads because my face was pretty. And that's what the man said. I just had a very beautiful face. So, oh, and also, we had an amazing time, but we were having good, wholesome fun on Bourbon Street. We went to a very cool restaurant where I had some Cajun seafood pasta. In the seafood pasta was some alligator. Alligator tastes good. It's almost like a tougher chicken. Very nice. Highly recommend. And then eventually Dr. Coney joined us and we just listened to the music. So it was fun. And here's a little bit of video from my Bourbon Street adventures. I used it as my time to just explore New Orleans. So I did not go to anything related to the convention. I got up and I went to Café du Monde. I literally walked all the way over there. I went to Café du Monde. I went to 2 museums. I went to a voodoo museum as well as a jazz museum as well as the Citadel, I believe. And then I also ended up going to the Garden District where I had to ride on a streetcar. So here is a little bit of video from my sightseeing historical cultural New Orleans day. Jackson Square. Y'all, I try to be so careful, but this is the aftermath of eating a beignet. They were amazing. 10 out of 10. These were from Cafe Du Monde. Over there, I didn't eat inside the restaurant because it was just too much happening. I came over to Jackson Square to eat. But this, all over. And then even around the entire square, you can see where people ate and had their powdered sugar droppings. So this is the final bite, and then we'll be on to enjoy the rest of the day.
I mean, I'll admit, sometimes when I walk down Home Depot, hot dogs smell kind of good in the morning, but yeah.
calling these girls in Iowa at that time. So we know that's a bunch of malarkey. And it was the most expensive country in the catalog. Now look, family, I got to do.
To finish off the night, I went and met the Retina Associates group, and it was more than just myself, Dr. Coney, his wife, Dr. Miller. We also had a bunch of other technicians. We also had some of Dr. Miller's kids. We also had Dr. Zagara. Dr. Zagara is a former doctor from the Retina Associates that retired. His granddaughter was also there, so we had a big group. And we're all just having dinner, just enjoying each other's company. And there was also a sponsor from another company. I can't remember, but it's not my job to remember. It was my job just to enjoy the food. So we finished up there, and then we went on a ghost tour. That was so fun. That was so very fun. And yeah, that was the end of my New Orleans, Louisiana ARVO trip. So thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.